business. I want to start a catering company. This is something totally foreign to me. It's totally, it's something I'm so unfamiliar with. I have a meal that I'm preparing for tomorrow morning. It's a lunch, and there's probably gonna be anywhere between 20 and 30 people. So I have been hired to do the job. I did get paid, and I just want to take you through the process of what it takes to prepare enough food for about 20, maybe 30 people. I love enchiladas, and I grew up eating chicken enchiladas, beef enchiladas, cheese enchiladas, and I want to make an enchilada casserole. Refrigerator, I don't know if you can hear that. I want to make an enchilada casserole, a chicken enchilada casserole, and it's going to be for 20 people. The pan is very large. This pan here is the size of about two 13 by 9 inch pans. And then some of the people are vegetarian. I keep looking this way. I've got products everywhere. So some of the people are vegetarian. I'm going to cook something vegetarian, and I'm going to cook something with chicken. It's going to be a Mexican themed meal. I'm going to have a salad. Everybody likes salad. And I'm going to make a homemade ranch. Actually, I already made the homemade ranch at the house. And I'm going to make some pinto beans. And I might kind of use a masher, like a potato masher, and turn it into kind of like almost like a refried bean product. I've got some potatoes I'm going to peel. So instead of the corn tortillas, I'm going to boil potatoes, thinly sliced, and then layer those down like a lasagna. Add the meat, add the sauce, add the cheese. Once it's all complete and you got all the layers, then I'm going to bake it all. Okay, so to figure out how many potatoes you need, I laid them in there like this. I put in about 30 potatoes going all the way across. And so I figured if this pan is full of potatoes, that's probably enough, because I've got two pans. I've got a 13 by 9 inch pan, and I've also got this pan, which is twice that size. I did cut the potatoes in thin strips, and what I'm making is like it's like a chicken enchilada, but instead of the corn tortillas, I'm using potatoes, and they're pretty thin. I'd say about 1/4 inch thick, and I'm gonna boil them. The last time I made this dish, it came out really well. It was very tasty, and a lot of people liked the flavors of all the ingredients mixed together. But the problem is, I cooked the potatoes for a little bit too long, and they were more on the mushy side. It did come out all right because I layered it with a lot of cheese. So it was kind of like a grilled chicken with the green sauce. It's like a creamy green sauce. It's half chicken noodles. It's half of creamy chicken noodle soup. Well, I'm saying that all wrong. It's half creamy chicken soup, or cream of chicken soup. I can't even talk. Cream of chicken soup. Half of that, and then half of this green salsa. This is like a tomatillo salsa. It's very good. This is mild. Now, I'll tell you what, when you're cooking at your house, or you're cooking for friends or family, always start with a mild sauce or ingredient, because you can always add more pepper. A person could add, I mean, if I grab a plate, I can always add more pepper to my food, but I can't take the pepper out. So I always start with the mild, and then I leave something on the table if they want to put some red pepper flakes or something in the dish. Now what I did was I cut these potatoes pretty thin, and I put them in some water so they don't go brown. And now my pot that I'm cooking all the potatoes in, it seems a little bit full. I need to take some of that water out. The third ingredient, by the way, in the sauce is going to be this. It's the Las Palomas green enchilada sauce. And then I have the Winco brand cream of chicken soup. And I know that it's very similar to the Campbell's cream of chicken soup. And the only reason I chose that is because it's a church that's paying for it, and they really wanted me to keep the budget to a minimum if I could. So when everything is all mix together all the sauces with the sauteed onions and the chicken, you're not going to notice any difference. I'm going to try to get all these potatoes in this one pot, and the water was boiling when I started. I might have to get a second pot to cook these potatoes because I have such a large amount of potatoes. I highly recommend you keep your eye on the potatoes very closely. You don't want them mushy. The next thing I need to do is I need to saute these onions. I'm in the church and they have their own cookware. I should have brought a skillet. I don't see a skillet around here. But I did cut these onions pretty fine. I'm going to put them in there, in this pan, with a little bit of oil. There is one good thing about cooking in a church. A lot of counter space. Anyway, I bought a package of chicken thighs, bone in, skin on, and I put that in the oven. It was around 375. I put that in the oven. There was 9 chicken thighs. It was about $9, so $1 a piece. Skin on, bone in. I need to take the skin off and I need to pull the meat off of this, but I put this in the oven for about an hour. The first 45 minutes was about 375 degrees, and when I put the thermometer in the chicken at the thickest point, it still wasn't registering that it was safely cooked. I turned up the heat a little bit. I turned on the broil so it would cook the top part of the chicken, the skin. It would kind of crisp it up. I don't think I'm going to use it, but it will give it a little bit of flavor. I put it in there for another 15 minutes at 400. Then when I pulled it out, I put the thermometer in and it did read 180 degrees, which is what they recommend. This is on high. I'm going to turn it down to medium. The pan with the chickens, I took some of the juice. Of course, it had a lot of oil. And I put that in here to saute the onions. And that was just one onion. Now, once these onions get a little more on the tender side, I'm going to add the sauce and the chicken. So right now I'm going to shred up the chicken. I plucked all the bone off the meat off the bone. I did get rid of the skin. I know a lot of people like to eat the skin. Next thing I'm going to do, I know this sounds not very important, but I'm going to wash the cans. I'm going to wash the top of the cans, and I'll tell you why. Because when you cut the can open, this blade is actually pushing whatever is on top down into the food. And then when you dump it out, I don't know what's on the top. I don't know what's on the top of these cans, but I've seen videos of rats running through a grocery store on top of the cans. In the sauteed onions, I've got the diced green chilies. Again, this is from the Winco brand. Diced green chilies, cream of chicken soup. I've got the Herdez salsa verde, which is like a tomatillo salsa. And then I've got the Las Palmas green chili enchilada salsa. This stuff is delicious. For the beans, I haven't even started the beans. Well, I soaked them overnight. For the beans, I'm going to use just a package of taco seasoning. It's easy, it's delicious. What more can you ask? And it's only about 50 cents at the grocery store. My friend who's a meatitarian, he's not a vegetarian, he's a meatitarian. He could probably eat meat for every meal and nothing else. He's happy with that. So he told me to get chicken thighs. Now, I don't eat a lot of meat, but I have noticed that the chicken thighs are very oily. And maybe that's why he said he's overweight. And maybe that's why he's going to come and eat this food tomorrow. But maybe that's why he said to eat or to bake or to cook chicken thighs, because he enjoys the fat of the chicken. If you do cook at a church, bring your own can opener, because the one that's in the drawer is probably one that somebody brought from their house that they don't really like, and trust me, it's very dull. Now to the onions, I'm going to add these 4 ingredients. Tomatillo salsa. I've got my green chilies here, Las Palmas, and last but not least, need some cream of chicken soup. And I do need to warm that up a little bit. And there is one thing I forgot to add. I'm going to add a stick of butter. And then I'm going to add some whipping cream. We're going to let that simmer. So this dish is going to be a vegetarian dish. Morningstar spicy black bean burgers. First we lay down some sauce because we don't want anything sticking to the pan. Then we add our potatoes, slices, and this is going to be a layered dish, kind of like a lasagna. Some cheese on top of the burger patty, veggie patty. We lay some more potatoes down. We add more sauce to the top of that. And this is really enough for about 7 people. I'm gonna add some more cheese to the top. Now we're gonna bake this in an oven, 350 degrees. Kind of spread that out a little bit. So in this dish, I'm gonna add the chicken. Now we do have some of the juices from the chicken as well. So we got all those juices from the chicken. Man, that looks good, like a nice chicken stew. And you want to spread some on the bottom so nothing sticks. You do the same thing with lasagna. I'm gonna start layering my potatoes. And they're nice and tender. They're a little cheese on top. You know, the cheese is what makes it taste so delicious. We're gonna add more chicken. Okay, now we add more potatoes. I'm gonna press it down a little bit, add some cheese. Add some more chicken. Gonna add the rest of the potatoes. Now we've used all the potatoes that we cooked. That was about 7 pounds of potatoes. And then we got a little bit of chicken left over. Just do a little bit on top. Try to get every potato bite. And we have the cheese. This is a cheddar jack cheese. The chicken was chicken thighs. There were 9 chicken thighs altogether. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna bake this in an oven, 350 degrees, for about an hour. This will serve around 15 people. And over here we have our beans cooking for the time being. Just some pinto beans. And I put 1 package of the taco seasoning mix in there. That may be enough. We may want to add more to it when it's finished. Okay, everything's cooking. We got the salad in the fridge, got tomatoes, I've got the dressing, the beans are baking, the beans are cooking on the stovetop. I've got my casseroles in the oven, and I'm just gonna have to sit here and wait for them to cook. Meanwhile, I'm gonna clean up.